It was Paul's first trip to Israel. He had a few weeks off coming to him at work and wanted to travel somewhere meaningful. An avid traveler, Paul had been to Europe, had fun in South America, and even dog sled in Alaska. This time he wanted his vacation to be different. He wanted to walk away with an experience that would touch his heart and mind in a lasting manner. Paul wanted to return from this trip different than when he had left. A co-worker had suggested Israel. Wary of the danger of such a hotbed of terror, Paul had first rejected the idea. But upon hearing his co-worker's assurances of his safety, Paul looked into it and eventually agreed that Israel was the place to go. Paul was a Gino, a Jew in name only. He had never been to the temple, never had a bar mitzvah, and couldn't name 4 of the 10 commandments. Paul's connection to Judaism began and ended with memories of his grandfather's chicken soup and a chain with the Star of David he had inherited from a great uncle. While in college, his grandmother had passed, and in the showers, he was mocked for his Jew chain. Off came the chain, and without any more chicken soup, his frail connection to Judaism had waned. Paul didn't know what to expect in Israel, but he wasn't on a quest to find his Judaism. Paul had long ago left Judaism and never had any interest in returning to it. Whenever kids in his class, whether in elementary, high school, or college, had discussed their religion, Paul was usually the only Jew, and it made him feel different in an uncomfortable way. Paul was the type of person that tried to fit in, and his Judaism pushed him in the opposite direction. Although he was never really cognizant of it, if pressed, Paul would probably agree that his feelings of being different than all others were the driving force behind his disinterest in Judaism. But here was Paul, standing at the Western Wall, right behind us now. His guidebook had advised he arrive early to see the morning prayers. Paul stood watching the men pray and noticed that one group of men stood in front of the others facing them, raised their arms, and chanted at them. While he didn't realize it, Paul was watching Birkat Kohanim, the Kohen's blessing, that the Kohanim gave to other Jews daily in morning prayers. Paul went over to someone who looked knowledgeable and asked him who those men were and how they were chosen to chant to the others. The man didn't answer, but gave Paul a book with Hebrew-facing English on opposite pages, and pointed to a few lines from this week's Sedra to read. Paul read, God separated the tribe of Levi to bear the ark of the Lord, to stand before God to serve him, and to bless in his name to this day. Therefore, the tribe of Levi has no portion or inheritance with his brothers. God is his inheritance. Paul understood that those men belonged to the tribe of Levi. More than understanding what he was seeing, the few verses he read hit a nerve for Paul. He instantly connected to the tribe of Levi. Like him, they were different than those around them. They had no portion with their brothers, just as Paul felt he had none with his. Paul realized that the Levi was the exemplar of the Jew, always separate, always different. Paul understood not only how he was different, but now he understood why. He, like the Levi, in comparison to other Jews, was God's chosen. The Levi had a unique mission, one he neither chose nor could ignore. As a Jew, Paul had been born into a unique people and nation. Paul slowly made his way from the Western Wall. He no longer felt different than others, he felt distinct. His difference wasn't something to shy from, it was something to be proud of. Paul recognized that he could no longer ignore his Judaism. He had to embrace it and commit to it.